Okay, so turn back to your checklist. We looked at the example of homelessness. And we're going to watch another quick video. Okay, so if we go back to our checklist, just to keep us all on track, we just watched this one about previewing and predicting, part of the video, and now we're going to go on to another video about predicting. This time it's going to talk about a fiction book. So if you're looking at a fiction book and making guesses about that book. Oh, and it has really annoying music. So if you want to mute this, if you're watching this at home later, I would suggest muting it. I'll play it just so you can hear the music a little bit, and then I'll mute it. Okay? Ready? Okay, I muted it. Oh, sorry, it's kind of on the top there. So, in order to make a prediction, readers need to explain what they believe will happen in the text before reading. Predictions can be done at the beginning of the text or throughout the reading. So we just did one at the beginning, right? Why should we predict? Predicting allows us to think ahead before we begin reading. Predicting gets us thinking about the ideas that may occur throughout the text and also create our own. In doing this, it makes the reader, you, become more engaged. That means you're actually into it, because you're thinking about it. How do we predict before we begin a book? Look at the title. Look at the images, the pictures. Think about what you know already, making connections to prior knowledge, and make your prediction. So, there we have it. How do we predict? During reading, think about what you've read already. Identify key ideas and major events. Decide what you think will happen based on what has already occurred in the book. So that's during reading. We're not going to talk about that one right now. Checking your prediction. So I talked a little bit about this. Look back and to see if you were accurate, to confirm your prediction. Okay, now we're going to practice. Example. Okay, everybody should have a picture of this book, the cover of this book in their hat. Turn your page. You see it? There it is. The boy in striped pajamas. Alright, so we can tell right away that this is a fiction book, right? This looks very different from the article that we just looked at, right? It looks like it's going to tell us a story, right? Maybe it's a true story, maybe it's not. But what are some predictions we can make? The boy in the striped pajamas. So just by looking at that title, what do you think? And by looking at the picture, what do you think?
Looks like he's in jail.
Looks like he's in jail. Yes. Okay. Looks like he's in jail. So maybe it's going to be a story about someone in jail. Now then I think to myself, well, why would a kid be in jail? That's kind of scary, right? Why would they have a kid in jail? What else? What are some other things?
He looks sick because he doesn't have
Looks sick.
maybe
Yep.
cancer or something.
Okay, looks like he's sick. Maybe cancer.
He looks lonely.
He looks lonely. Yeah.
I mean, he does have his friend there, so.
Yeah. Why do you think that they're, I think I spelled lonely wrong. I hate the word lonely. I hate the feeling and I hate spelling it. What else? So he looks like he has a friend there. What do you think they're talking about?
Maybe soccer?
What's that?
Soccer?
Maybe they're talking about soccer. Why would you say that, Joy?
Because of the ball.
Okay, because there's a ball. Nice. Yeah.
Maybe they're talking about how they wish they could play together.
Awesome. See, you guys are natural predictors. You're doing it. This is what we do all the time, right? Maybe they're talking about they wish they could play together. I like that. Anything else? Yeah. How they wish they could play together. Finish writing that. Anything else? What do you think? So this is a chapter book. I don't have a copy of this book. I think my kids read this in junior high or high school. What do you think? The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. So it looks. Any other clues that you might have?
Probably they have not exactly at home, so they have them put them in a place where kids get food in school.
So maybe like an orphanage?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think maybe they're in an orphanage. So all of your points, if you want to start, you could say I predict or I think, if you want to practice making your sentences. I think maybe they're in an orphanage. Yeah. And what made you think that, Kamina?
Because I can see there's a high fence that they don't escape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't want the kids to leave. So maybe it's like a group home, or
Yeah.
maybe one of the boys did do something wrong, right? Maybe that's why he's in there. He looks kind of young, but right? But yeah, these are all things that we're thinking about and making predictions. And then when I ask you why did you think they're talking about soccer? Oh, well, there's a ball. Okay. Oh, and I also know that boys that age usually like to play something like soccer, right? So it's explaining all those predictions. Okay, so let's see what the people in the video said. I think this book is about two boys. One of the boys looks like he's in prison. Is that what we said? Yeah. And he's made friends with the boy who isn't. I think the boy in the pajamas is the main character. What clues from the text did you use in order to make these predictions? I'm always going to ask you that. Okay? First, I looked at the title and predicted the text would be about a boy, because it says boy, right? Then I looked at the picture and noticed the fence, and that's when I predicted one of the boys would be in prison. I guess the main character is the boy in the pajamas because it relates to the heading, or the title, the boy in the striped pajamas. Okay? I predicted he's a prisoner because I know people in prison wear clothes similar to this. So every time you make a prediction, you're just explaining to me why did you make that prediction.
So we have to write it down
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be writing these predictions down. Some people like to do it differently. So you're using the pictures and your background knowledge. So some people, when they do this assignment, they like to say, I predict this is about a boy who's in prison because I see the clothes he's wearing. I made this prediction because I know I looked at the picture and I know people in prison usually wear these kind of clothes. Some people like to do it like that. That. Prediction, how did I get it? Prediction, how did I get it? Other people have done this assignment differently. They've written a whole bunch of predictions, and then underneath they've said, I made these predictions by doing this. This is what I did. I looked at the picture first, I thought about how boys play soccer, I saw the ball, that made me think this. So whichever way works best for you. Some people like to say the prediction, and then how did they make that prediction? I kind of like that way because then I feel like each one I'm explaining. If I do a whole bunch of predictions and then at the end tell a whole bunch of things I did, for me that's a little harder. But I've had students who do it that way and they do fine. They say, this is all the things I guess, and these are all the reasons why. Okay? Awesome. All right. So let's go back to your checklist. It's another example. We're going to do some more examples here. So we just followed the in-class example with the front page of a boy in striped pajamas. So you can give yourself a check mark there.
So watching the video too? Or
yep, you're watching the video too, and you're welcome to go back and watch that video. Like I said, you might want to turn off the music. It's kind of if you need a reminder about how they're making those predictions. Okay. I know we're going through this all super quickly. That's why I'm saying if you need more time to watch these videos and think about this assignment more than just this week, we can definitely take longer. Okay? Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is this idea of predicting during reading. So during reading is, sometimes when I do this it gets messed up. Hopefully you guys can still see it. Can you still see it? Good. Okay. Do you guys like the apple?
Yes.
Does it make you hungry? Okay. So during reading, what is a prediction? It's an educated guess about what will happen later in the text. So if you think of it, when we're reading a story, who here, when you're watching a movie, you feel like you know what's going to happen next? Yeah. Yeah, especially if it's one of those movies where, oh, it always happens like this, right? Who here has been surprised when it doesn't happen the way, Who thinks that makes it a better movie when it gives you a surprise? So books are like that too. They'll get you thinking, oh yeah, that's going to happen. He's going to kiss her, and then they're going to go out again, and he's going to ask her to marry her. What? He died in a car accident? How does that happen? Right? Okay? So sorry, that's probably a bad example. It's just the first thing that came to my head. But that's why predicting keeps you engaged. Engaged means that you're into what you're reading. Okay? So this you can do before, like we said, making lots of guesses, which we do. But also while you're reading, okay? So it's guessing what's going to happen next based on things that have already happened, informed by things you know, not outlandish and uncharacteristic. What does this mean? Not outlandish. What do you guys think that means? So I'll give you an example. If I looked at the boy in the striped pajamas and said, I think this is going to be a romance about two people who met in prison and, what? Why? Well, I don't know, maybe these are their children, after they got married. No, that doesn't make sense. So outlandish is when you make a prediction that doesn't have anything to do with what you're seeing. None of you will do that because you'll always be thinking about what you're seeing, right? Okay, so it's saying to stick with what you're seeing. How do you make a prediction? You're required to make an inference. So think about the text first. What has already happened? Has the author left any clues? And then consider what you know. What's likely to happen next? So we're going to do one example, and then I'm going to show you where you can go to practice these online. Okay? Okay, so here's our example. Ronald was running around the classroom with his shoes untied. One of the nicer boys in the class, Ezekiel, said, Ronald, your shoe is untied. Ronald replied, don't talk to me. He did not like Ezekiel. Ronald then continued running and playing. As he was running around the bookshelf, he stepped on one of his shoelaces and fell. Okay, so and fell. So why did you predict that? What made you say that he was going to fall?
Because he was running and he had his shoes untied and he stepped on it.
Okay, I made this prediction because I know that if you run with your shoes untied, chances are you are going to fall. You had it, but just add in there because I know from my own experience that, right? Okay, so let's see what they say. Based on the information in the text, and what you should say what you know, what is likely to occur next? Suggested answer. Ronald is probably going to trip over his shoelaces and fall. Okay? I believe this because, now this is the part that people are often missing when they're doing this assignment. I believe this because, or I predict this